So this is totally random, but I figured I'd share it anyway. And I wanted to talk about how would you redraft the whole NFL? And so with more quarantine time, I've been playing Madden a little more. Those in the community section, talk about fantasy draft a little bit. But, in real life, how would you go about this and all that? Now, obviously, I'm not saying it's going to happen. If you were to ask me the odds, I say more than likely it wouldn't be something that you could get all the owners plus the players to agree to. But could it logistically happen? I think so. And honestly, I would advocate for it if I had a chance to. Because I think if you did a reset every 20 years or so, it'd be pretty cool to shake things up and to keep things fun. But anyway, so how would you go about it in real life? Let's say they decided this is what we want to do. Or let's just say they put Terry in charge. This is what Terry would do. First of all, and the key to this is I would set a date for the draft. And so I could be convinced of different ideas, but in my mind, I say 6 years. 6 years is enough of a cycle for the NFL to where a lot of players would, cycle out by that time. And a lot of people that might currently be big time stars might not be those stars anymore. And, kind of the people with the power wouldn't be the same people with power. So you kind of want to wait for that to cycle out. You couldn't just do it next year or 2 years down the line because the people that would argue against it would have a lot of power. But if you set it down the line a little bit, then the people with power, they might not have as much as a voice because you'll be like, you probably won't even be here anymore. But anyway, that's my thinking. But I don't want it super far. I don't want to be like, okay, 15 years from now. Now, obviously, after the first one, we will have a cycle. But this would be like, okay, we want to do this somewhat in the short term. So I would say 6 years. What I probably would do, though, is look at the longest contract. So I would tell the 32 teams, let me know which players is, signed for you for the longest. And if it's anything over 6 years, then I might think about doing that. But more than likely, I would just bully that team into restructuring that contract. So I would say 6 years. Boom. 2026. We're going to be doing an NFL draft, or 2027 because that's 6 seasons. So 2027 spring, we're doing a redraft. And so what that does is that since you have that date, now no contracts can be scheduled past that date. So let's just say for me personally, and I'll talk about in a little bit rationale wise, but I would do it in June. So I do it June 2027. And so I think the league year ends in February sometime, right? Or is it March? I think it's February. So anyway, so no contracts are able to be signed past February 2027. So by the time we hit the draft, all players will be not under contract. And so now that gives you time. So if you draft a rookie this year or next year, if you are re-signing a star or whatever, then okay, I can't sign you past this date. And that's number one. So now we all know, because one of the biggest things is just like preparation for it. And again, you give them a date 6 seasons out, they're like, okay, I know that date. So now every move you do going up into it, you can plan for it. Okay, so now we got the date. How would it work out? I say June, and I would keep the college draft in April. And so it kind of doesn't matter at the same time, but here's my thinking. I think that if you were to do this, what it would do is take the pressure off of teams for the 2 drafts leading up to it. Because if you're drafting right before the redraft, then you don't have a roster that you're tied to. And, I got to mix this personality with this, or I got to do that. You now are pretty much free to kind of go with, it would change the way you look at the draft. I think it would take pressure off a little bit. The draft the year before, you only have that rookie for a year. And so reaching for people might not be as much of a thing. Definitely being scared to be tied to a player in the top rounds would not be that much of a thing. You know you got that player for a year. And it's not completely useless because some people are like, well, why would you care? You still got to scout because now those players are going to be back in the draft. And so you want to know after that year, okay, is this a rookie I want to bring back? Or, is there another rookie I could look at the same position or whatever? And so it's still incumbent upon you to scout. And I would put the NFL redraft after the college draft because I know how much time goes into the college draft. And we know some people might say it's a little too long, but we know from Super Bowl to April, it's a very long draft process. And so I still want to give teams the ability to dig into that college draft process because those are unknowns. As far as getting your strategy together for the redraft, it wouldn't be as bad because you know those players. You have a pro scouting department that scouts current players. And so for me, I think any of the top tier players, the top tier to emerging players, the middle class, I think, because, those are potential free agents or potential trade partners. Those are people you scout anyway. And so some of the lower unknown players might be where you got to do your homework as far as veterans. And so, but overall, you would need more time to scout the rookies. So then I just think it creates a cool dynamic where you do the college draft, or let's call it the rookie draft, and you don't really have a roster tie down. And obviously, this is going to help set you up for what you go for in the veteran draft. All right, so that's when I would do it. I would do it in June, and I would try to steal a little thunder from the NBA. That's why I'm putting it in June. All right, so what I would do is I actually go back and forth with this. I was thinking I would get the order done the year before. So February or June 2026, I would do the order and then do it. Part of me feels like, so what I don't want to do is do like a lot, because you know how the lottery is with the NBA. I don't want to do it in the middle of the playoffs or right before the playoffs because that's going to distract people. So I figured either we would do it after the Super Bowl, so we could do it at the end of February or in March when the new league year starts, or we could do it the year before, because that I still want teams to kind of understand where they're going to be picking at. And I don't want to do it too close to the draft because that's not fair. But part of me feels like if I do it the year of the redraft, now they're like, okay, we got this pick in the rookie draft and this pick, and they'll get confused. So I think I would probably do it the June 2026, the year before the redraft. I would put out the order of the draft. And that way, that gives people all off season to kind of figure that out. And then they can, do their rookie draft stuff after the season's over. But anyway, so I would do a lottery. But unlike the NBA, I would do a live broadcasting of the picks. And actually, it would be a lottery, but it wouldn't be like a ping pong ball. What I would do is I would do hats, or maybe not hats, but cards or something with the logo on it. And I was thinking maybe there's other ways to do this, but I was thinking we would pull out some Hall of Famers. We get 32 Hall of Famers and they would do it. And at first I was like, oh, but what if it's not your team? Or what if you pick a rival and you give them a good pick? But I think that'd be fun. That'd be good TV. So I would get 32 Hall of Famers that agreed to do it, have a nice little ceremony. And actually, I wouldn't wait to, yeah, because the NFL honors is right before the Super Bowl, right? Maybe I push the NFL honors back that year. Nah, I don't want no players to be there. Never mind. I'll do it in June. And I'm going to have a nice ceremony, but it'll be cool because you have players live tweeting and, they'll be talking crap. So I would do it in June. I have a nice ceremony, 32 Hall of Famers, and we'll do it straight live. Obviously, people still think it might be rigged, but we're going to literally mix up a box. Maybe we'll do two. I feel like one is enough. We'll do one card with the team's logo on it per team. We'll mix it up in there. We'll let the legends come up, intro them. They talk a little bit, then they reach in and they pull it out. And that's just how we gonna do it. Straight random luck. And then after that, it'll be serpentine. So if you got number 1 in the first round, you'll have number 32 in the second round. Or is that snake? Whatever. And so we'll do it that way. And then, so we'll pick the order. And then so fans and everybody knows that in that upcoming year, you have this pick in the draft. And we'll just snake it the whole way through and do kind of like doing Madden. We'll do 54 rounds or whatever the roster size is. And then everybody left is free agents in their open game. So, and we'll just adjust the rules. So if you get drafted to a team and you're like, I don't want to go, they have the rights to sign you. And so even if you don't sign, you can't sign anywhere else. And then they can trade the rights to sign you. And so we'll allow trades and that type of stuff. But that's what I would do. And it would be insane. Like, whether you're like, there's a lot of negatives people would say to these things. But honestly, to me, setting the context and the date is the biggest thing. I don't like any negative you can say, like, oh, I came here last year, or I'm only been in the league 2 years. I'm not invested because I know I might leave. True, but you know that coming in. You know that as a college player coming into the draft. You know that this big redraft is coming. And so it's just part of the dynamics. And I think it would, first of all, whether you like it or not, it would be huge. You would see so many views on that thing. And I wouldn't do it like the NFL draft where it's like, oh, we're going to do 3 nights or whatever. I would try to make it as quick as possible. And so obviously we won't have players walk on stage and all that. It won't even be a venue. I wouldn't do it. I would just have it like a little ticker on NFL Network or ESPN or wherever you're looking at. It'll be a little ticker. It won't be a card. It won't be anything. People just literally on the line. They can have a war room. Literally, on the line telling the league who they draft, which is probably going to be similar to this year because of Corona. And so that's literally what I would do. Just have them, and we would fly. Obviously, the first few rounds we would give you some more, a little bit longer time. But after that, we'll start flying. And maybe it'll be 3 days because it's 54 rounds and not 7. But it wouldn't be a big production. And so, bro, that would be huge. As much as you wouldn't like it, every team now has a chance to rebuild their team and actually do something. So I'm just saying, I don't think it's impossible at all. The only thing holding it back is people actually signing off on it, but no one loses any money. Again, you set your salary cap up to where it's going to be good once that year hits, and everybody will be ready to roll, and every fan is going to be ready to see what their new team looks like. And so, that's what I would do. Go to the comment section. Let me know if you think that would be possible. Would that be something you'd be down with? Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for listening.